Universal has a legacy of believing in and supporting the best of the youth culture films.
They were really funny, but they also had a warmth and a reality level that some broader comedies didn't have.
Fast Time at Ridgemont High is a great film. That film would never be made by a studio now.
What are you waiting for? You're 15 years old. I did it when I was 13. It's no huge thing, it's just sex.
Amy Heckerling always said that the events in the movie, the pain, the conflicts,
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
the turmoil of teenage years was fast.
Like they're young, but they're having to be grown-ups too young, and things are going too fast. So sex and drugs is one thing, but also they should be working. They should have the pressures that grown-ups have.
Why don't you get a job, Spicoli?
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
It wasn't nostalgia. It didn't look back the way American Graffiti or even Animal House did. It was brightly lit mall life, just as contemporary as the audience's life was at the time.
Chronologically, you're 16 today. Physically, you're still 15.
16 Candles was my movie as a kid. I felt like I was Anthony Michael Hall. The goofy, funny guy begging the pretty girl to hang out with him.
Can I borrow your underpants for 10 minutes?
That joke style was just something I had never seen before.
John Hughes, he had his finger on the pulse. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that he never lost touch with that thing that we all feel when we're growing up. You're trying to fit in, you're trying to figure out your own identity.
John, I mean, I almost felt like he was a member of the Breakfast Club. We would do a scene and he would be right there under the camera.
He would cry through takes, he would laugh through takes, and he was never precious about his screenwriting.
That whole scene in Breakfast Club, you know, the everyone loves me here.
I'm so popular. Everybody loves me so much at this school.
That was all just improvised. And for somebody who was such a great writer to be that open to other people and improvisation, I think he just got really great performances that way.
There are movies that are great because of what's on the page.
Hey, Doc.
And then there are movies that are just this magical chemistry set. You know, there's certain elements that were all showed up and they created this compound. It was explosive. To me, that's what Back to the Future is.
I love Back to the Future because it's comedic, but it also works as a science fiction movie.
Doc?
It sets up all of these little things at the beginning of the movie, and then everything just ends up tying together.
Like I've always told you, you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
We said, okay, if a kid goes back in time to meet his parents, it's more interesting to have the kid teach his dad to be a man.
Jesus, George, it was a wonder I was even born. What?
So by that, the father's got to be a nerd. The kid has to have something going on. And let's have him invent rock and roll.
Michael, you know, he has such an impeccable comic timing, and he's so brilliant with physical comedy. He would always fall off his chair, you know, trip over his pants. It's kind of an old-fashioned comedy acting.
Whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
The chemistry between and Michael was just there. We both shared almost kind of mischievous enjoyment of really going for the humor and having fun with it. And it was an adventure. It was cool.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Hit it.
Universal said, can you have a movie in theaters by August?
Sometimes it was like 6 months away and there was no screenplay. So of course you say, yes. And that does two things. One, you're immediately in production. And two, you don't have time to say, oh, and by the way, can I drive 40 cars in downtown Chicago at 100 miles an hour? And it was wild. We dropped a car from a helicopter 1,400 feet.
All of a sudden, it's so high up in the air. It's done for effect, and it makes no sense at all. But it's kind of amazing and funny and weird.
We got to sing, we got to dance. It was that kind of gleeful, kind of little kid in a candy store attitude through the whole thing.
Take my advice. Forget about Kevin and Taylor. It's too late. Work on Justin.
Actually, Justin is quite bright. In his preschool class, he was the only... Slow down, Justin. I'll get you some dip.
Everybody on the film understood what it is to be a parent. The only person that didn't was actually Steve Martin, who didn't have children.
Gil, why are you just standing there? Oh, sweetie.
Waiting for our head to spin around.
And he talked to me before the movie, and he said, I'm nervous about this. Well, of course, the kids realized in 2 seconds that this is like this crazy, extraordinary human being that's so much fun to be around. And so they were all over him.
There was one moment, and it's at the Little League game, and Steve said, I've got an idea for a run, and I just want to do it. And he did this take. It was just this explosion of ingenuity. It was so joyful and so hysterical. But I'll always remember that moment of a really brilliant, talented actor saying, let me just try something. And the all-controlling director has to just sort of sit back and is given a real jewel of a moment.
When I think of Universal Pictures, I often think of a film that's very defining of the time we were living in. These are films you remember your whole life. You remember when you saw them.
They want you to move back to Massachusetts. I was born in Brooklyn.
Do the Right Thing, I saw a rough cut. When it was finished, I didn't know what to think. I was like, because I had never seen anything like it.
The movie was riveting. The movie was beautiful in this new way. Spike was this up-and-coming director with a completely different, unique view of America, of the culture. It was just groundbreaking and provocative in the best of ways.
Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted this. I wanted to serve my country. I want to go to Vietnam, and I'll die there if I have to.
Born on the 4th of July. It was intended as an epic, and it was. Tom's performance was once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. He hung out with Ron Kovic on the streets to find out what it's like to be ignored or to be treated as a paralyzed man. It's an amazing experience.
I think, Timmy, I give everything I believe in. Everything I got, all my values, just to have my body back again, just to be whole again.
Out of Africa, Bob Redford and I sat on a grassy knoll high above the Masai Mara, where you could see literally back into the millennia. And it was so still. Imagine a place where there is absolutely no sound of an aircraft. There's just life. It was magic.
One of my theories about Field of Dreams is that
you don't know it's a tearjerker until the last scene. Up until the last scene, it's a comedy.
It's okay, honey. I was just talking to the cornfield.
It's a film full of surprises. You go, what the hell? Why does he have to build a field? And what's the voice for? Why does he have to go on this journey?
Go the distance.
And it turns out that the answer to this mystery is a very emotional thing for this guy. And so your defenses are kind of down.
It's my father.
I've seen audience after audience, they're so surprised at that moment. They go, oh my God, of course.
I'm John Kinsella.
I cried when I read the script. I cried every time I saw the movie. It was never a baseball movie. It was always a movie about hope and inspiration and coming to terms with the ghosts of your dead father. It spoke to me then, still does.
Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
The field has become kind of a shrine. It never occurred to us that it would last a week beyond the shooting. People started showing up, just unannounced. And after a year or two, they were getting 50,000 visitors a summer. People were driving across America to get married on the field. It meant something to people that was just beyond any of our expectations. It's just amazing to me.
You never know how big something's going to be, but you know when you get a really special piece of material, and you could literally feel the energy around the project.
Look at the mark.
The kids work great together. And because I shot the film in strict continuity from beginning to end, I did that for the kids. I wanted the kids to know that when they were coming to work, the scenes they were shooting today followed what actually happened in our continuity yesterday.
Just a rehearsal.
And I think that helped the kids develop not only an affection for each other, but a tremendous bonding with E.T.
I should have given up. I put on my hand.
The kids never looked at the wires. All they saw was this entity who they truly loved. So by the end of the story, when they were saying goodbye to E.T., it was, in fact, almost the last day of shooting. And we all fell apart.
He is going to put his hands on your shoulders, and he's going to bring you in for a hug.
I'm stunned at how long that sequence is. I think most filmmakers are always conscious of, that shot goes on too long. Steven was fearless. He let that thing play a long time, just the two of them. But every second you're caught up in the emotions of it. It's one of the bravest things I've ever seen.
It just affects you tremendously. People were weeping over this story of a funny alien with a long neck.
I think we all were kind of searching for who we were during E.T. And all of that came together in this film. It just reached into everybody's heart.
When I think about that time, the memories that are the strongest for me is the actual making of the films.
It was a really vibrant, wonderful time to have been here at Universal. Great filmmaking, great writing, and a great comedy director.
So many people have come up to me to say how Back to the Future changed their lives, and it's still doing it. It's awesome.